Good evening. It is 6 p.m. on April 9th, no, Wednesday, April 9th, and I'm calling the meeting of the Whately Select Board to order. First item on the agenda is, as always, to review and vote to approve the meeting minutes from March 25th, 2025. Are there any comments or corrections?
No comments.
Nothing for me.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Next item, as usual, to review and discuss the vendor and payroll warrants. Same question, is there any questions?
No comments from me.
No comments. And no comments from me either. 6:05 p.m. We have an appointment with the notice of intent to sell 214 North Street and the town's right of first refusal. Ms. Reed, you're here to discuss that?
Everything up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes, I'm here.
we think so.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
So you've decided to sell the property.
Yes.
You've been running it for many, many years.
Yeah, for 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years about.
Okay.
I'm too old now.
Do you have a buyer?
Yes, we do.
You do, okay. What I'm learning now is that if the sale would result in the buyer using the land in the same way and within the limitations of chapter 61B, the town will not have the right to pursue right of first refusal. You're mumbling as if you have something to say. Go ahead.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop you. If
No,
if
no,
you have
I-
things. Okay, we have not received any verification that the buyer will be doing this. Do you know if the buyer is going to use the land in the same way that you have been using it?
Yes.
Okay, apparently they will need to provide an affidavit to the assessor that
Okay.
they will not change its use. If the buyer purchases the land and then later decides to change the use, this will trigger the town's right of first refusal. So if they buy it and decide to use it differently than it's currently being used, then they forfeit the right to have that land and we get the right of first refusal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I explained that to them. And they
Okay.
said they keep the same as the
Okay.
campground. Yeah.
And will they be submitting an affidavit?
Okay. I have the
It's in the purchase and sales agreement.
purchase and sale agreement. Can I email that to you? Or
Yeah,
what?
yes, it needs to go to the
Okay,
assessor.
yeah.
And the assessor will send it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So send it to the assessor and then we will take another look at it when it comes in and talk about it moving forward.
Do we know if the purchase and sale is a appropriate affidavit? I don't know what.
no, it has to be a
It has to be a
separate affidavit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
regarding
within
the
purchase
use.
and sale.
Right, so just the purchase and
Oh.
sale might not do the trick.
Right,
Will
you
not
have
do
to
the
have
trick.
it.
Yeah,
You have to have an
that's what I
affidavit.
thought.
You have to have an affidavit
Yeah,
attached.
affidavit. Okay.
or
I
sent.
asked them, yeah, to send to you.
Okay,
Okay, we might then want to continue this item to the April 30th meeting. So that you and your buyer have a chance to put together the affidavit and submit it to the auditor, and we have a chance to review it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes. How long does it take you to review and
yeah, when we get it, we will be able to review it prior to the April 30th meeting. And then we can discuss it at the meeting, and unless there are any huge questions, I would imagine that we would be able to make a decision that night.
okay.
okay.
I mean, it may be that we don't make a decision, but the assessors say, yes, this is this affidavit is sufficient, then it doesn't even come to
Then it
us.
doesn't
Right,
even
then we
come
didn't
to
have-
We don't
Yeah.
make a decision at all. If,
Yeah.
if it's not sufficient, then that might need another round of doing things, but it's just some paperwork. We gotta make sure that paperwork gets done properly so that the new owner really understands the limitations on what they can use this land for.
So
Okay,
it goes to, if the assessor okays it, it doesn't need to come to us for an okay?
okay. So
Right,
I think that's how I read the notes from Pete.
Okay.
yeah, the
Yeah.
affidavit says the use will continue, then it never even comes back to us.
Right. That,
Show me where it says that. I'm seeing
it says,
the buyer will
yeah.
need to provide an affidavit to the assessor and thus the select board. You're looking down
And-
further.
I'm looking down for.
I was looking down further, depending on, the board.
Because we would have nothing to decide. If the affidavit is sufficient to the assessor, then we have nothing to say about it.
Then we have no
We
jurisdiction.
have no jurisdiction.
Yes,
All
if
right.
the buyer can provide that affidavit.
Right.
And who determines whether that affidavit is
I see
sufficient?
the right of first refusal
It's
discussion.
It's just the right to first refusal doesn't even come
It will
up
not be necessary.
if the affidavit is sufficient. I think
Got
it's,
it. Thank you for
I
that.
think the purpose is really just to make sure
They get
that
it.
this buyer really gets it. That they, they can't go and like build their, I don't know,
Condo
theme
units.
park.
Yeah,
or-
theme
Like the
park.
theme
Yeah,
park, I think, is outside of the realm of what that
absolutely.
property is used for.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So get the affidavit and we may or may not see you on April 30th, depending upon what the assessor says when you submit the affidavit to the assessor.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay,
Thank you for coming before
Thank you.
this. We appreciate your
thank you.
time. All right.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right,
And I see Chelsea Klein's. Placeholder. Oh, hang on a second.
Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think Sue's,
Marathon.
I don't know if she's coming, he did not inform me.
This
Hi there.
is some. Hi there, Chelsea, hang on a second. We're gonna look at Sue's request for the one-day special event permit for the annual half marathon, and then we will move on to you. I jumped the gun a little bit.
No problem.
And this is something that Sue does every year with no
There-
negative effects.
They haven't had any problems in the past,
Yep,
so, and they dot all their i's, cross all their t's. And usually if, depending on their application, sometimes they've got all the signatures from all the other departments in advance, and sometimes they don't. And if
right.
they don't, then we have the option to approve
Pending.
conditional
Pending.
on receiving the other sign on from the other parties.
Yeah.
And there are emails, below, we haven't typically, since I've been here, getting the sign off, we've
Oh,
got,
you
been
got
getting the emails.
Emails were acceptable. so-
Yes,
Oh,
so we
okay.
have everything in that packet in front of you, including the
Okay.
emails in the back, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, yep, I was checking, I'm pretty sure they're all there, Board of Health, highway, EMS.
Fire.
Police.
Police, there you go. So I believe that's all, but
Okay. Well, I would move that we approve the special event permit for the Cancer Connection.
I'll second. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. And you'll need my signature.
I'll have
on
those to
this?
sign at the end of the meeting if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
And
Okay,
obviously, the
Chelsea.
same thing for the one-day liquor license.
we also need to approve the one day of the.
Good heavens, you
I
guys
move
are
we
keeping me
approve
in my lane. I appreciate
the
it.
one-day alcohol beverage license application for the same event.
Did you just move?
I just
I
moved.
was talking.
Second,
All those in favor?
I,
Perfect.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, now,
Now.
now, Chelsea,
You're up.
you've been-
Chelsea, thanks for keeping us, you kept us waiting so long.
yeah.
All right. Let's
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I'm the executive director of Cancer Connection, and as you know, Sue Monahan has been running the Mother's Day Half Marathon for 15 years now. So my dream was to somehow have a marker acknowledging this amazing event and all that she's done, to help people with cancer in Western Massachusetts. So I reached out to Representative Natalie Blaze to see if there was any possibility of establishing some kind of marker. Oh, is she here?
Yep.
She just walked in.
She just walked in.
Who, Natalie?
She doesn't, no,
No.
not Natalie.
Oh, oh,
No, looks like Natalie, but not Natalie. Sue.
got it. Okay, so then I'll hit pause. Do you want to tell her that she's approved?
You're
Oh, yeah.
approved for your race and your liquor license.
Love
Just
this
In
town.
absence, yeah.
We were a little quick.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Can I leave you a check right now? Absolutely, you can give it to
Oh.
me if you'd like. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you can give us all money.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I think that.
I'll take that.
I'll take $10.
Nobody saw that.
That's
And
awesome.
Just
No,
Yeah, 75, yep.
just kidding.
not like the federal.
So Chris, you heard that. We're just kidding.
Town of Whately,
Yeah.
yeah, Town of Whately. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Sorry, Chelsea, to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I'm so excited that it was such a quick and easy process, and you missed it. They said she always dots her I's and crosses her T's, and I'm like, yes, she does. You're amazing, Sue.
I was a little late this year, so I was a little nervous getting on the agenda. But it's getting easier every year, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And
fantastic.
Now that Yankee Candle isn't working 24/7, so they're closed on Sunday, that was like one of my biggest problems.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so now that's even better.
Easy breezy
So-
now, huh?
Perfect. Awesome. Here you go.
Thank you.
Ah, is that it?
That's
That's
it.
it.
Hallelujah.
If there's anything else, I'll let you know when you contact your stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah, and everything's the same, like Don Bates can help me and we have everything, so, yeah, should be good to go. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for running the race every year.
It's fun.
Hi, Sue.
Okay, now she's gone, we can keep talking about her.
Yep.
Thank you all for your help. Okay, great. Thank you. So my hope was to establish a marker maybe on Christian Lane, maybe near the fire department, something that will establish it as, like where the finish line is, like Sue Monahan Way or something like that. I don't know what's possible. Like I said, I started with Natalie Blaze and she referred me to you all. So we're incredibly grateful to her, and she's been just such a powerhouse and such a a steady force for good in the Pioneer Valley. So what's possible?
Well, my question initially to the town administrator was, is it gonna be a permanent sign? He has given us a few notes here that say, the highway department has said that the town has approved memorial signs like this so long as the requesting party pays for the pole and the sign, and then the highway department will install it.
Okay, you have an estimate of the cost?
No idea.
And our highway department guy's not here either,
Yeah,
but I would imagine it's not gonna be millions of dollars.
That's
Right.
good. Cancer Connection does not have millions of dollars.
I would suggest go look at what it costs for a pole and a sign, to have them
Yeah.
manufactured and then get back to us. When is this? No, this is pretty soon.
It's in May.
It might not be there for this May's
That's-
May
marathon.
11th.
I think we need
Right.
specific proposal of what sign, where.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what it's
probably
going to
some more
say, where
details.
you'd like
Right.
it to be, and, you can give us the estimate, just so we know what you're
Right,
going into it for, and,
Sure.
but the highway department will install it.
yeah.
Okay.
As we okay it.
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned something like Sue Monahan Way, so I don't actually know what that might refer to. Like if it's at the current location of the fire station,
Right.
there's not a way there. I mean,
Right.
there's this big parking lot that we could call it Sue Monahan Way, but that's like for the police and the transfer station and
Yeah.
fire and that field there. There's not really a road.
Yeah.
Um, So, it's, to me, like asking us to name a road after somebody is a
Hmm.
little different from putting up a plaque acknowledging a person. So I guess it maybe comes under the category of details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue Monahan
like-
Highway Shoulder.
Or Sue Monahan Bridge over, Bridge over 91, we might not have jurisdiction on that.
No
This
jurisdiction.
may go back a few years, but I know Whately at one point had an adopt a road or adopt a highway program.
Uh-huh,
So I don't know if that's something that maybe we can.
but that means they have to go out there and pick up the garbage. I think.
Yeah,
Adopt a
so I
highway
don't know
needs-
if it's something that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure they're volunteering for that.
I'd say think about the kind of wording that would go on a sign that would honor her, but would not necessarily designate, a roadway or an avenue or anything like that.
And I'll
Okay.
check with the highway department about the size
Yeah,
that it can be.
Yeah, and it may depend on what you're doing, right?
Right, but
If this is something that's gonna be like the size of let's say, a no parking sign, but put somewhere and it's, just gonna have some words on it, then maybe there's a lot of flexibility about exactly where that could go. So
Okay.
size, but if it's, if it's a bigger one.
Yeah.
Then maybe we have to think
that
more
is, we
about
need
it.
a specific proposal.
you weren't thinking 8 feet by 10 feet, I'm assuming.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So, for pricing and for size, would I have to talk to the highway department directly?
He might be able to, tell you where you might get a good sign. He might,
Yeah,
or he may just tell you, go Google that,
yeah.
but,
I had to make a sign for near our house about 10 years ago, and I just went and Googled, how to make a highway sign or how to order a highway sign, and so many things came up. I'm sure you'd find something quickly.
Okay. So for, in order to make this happen, what you need specifically is our commitment to pay and the exact sign that we want and exactly what we want on the sign and the exact location.
yeah,
That
and we
seems
say
good. Right.
exact, I don't know. There can be some plus or minus, right? On a map, when you put an
With
X.
the
you know,
location.
Right.
With the location, plus or minus a centimeter is not gonna be necessary, but
Okay.
yes, if you see where the location is, and I think the highway superintendent would be a very good person to suggest good locations for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay. So if I just say somewhere near the fire department, I don't care where, and we will pay for the sign and then, uh-oh, my dog is growling. Shush, shush. Then I can come back to the April 30th meeting if I have that information.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be.
Okay,
that
so
would-
maybe worst case scenario, I'll order the sign and have it so I can give it to her on May 11th and it won't be installed yet.
Be installed then, yeah,
nice idea.
that's a nice idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I get it approved on April 30th, like, I don't know if I can turn it around that fast, but,
Yeah.
okay. But I
Yeah.
can't call it like what you're saying, no, don't call it way or nothing like,
We don't have a roadway to
name.
I mean, unless, if you can think of a roadway somewhere, but I don't think there's a roadway there. That's just say, as soon as you pull in, it's parking lot, and it's, like, you can drive this way for the dump and that way for the fire department, and that way for the police station.
okay.
So,
What if I did like this part, what, sorry?
You've been to that area, right?
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's what I figured, yeah.
many a time.
What if you did? You said, what if I did?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying that. What if I did something like this spot marks, the site of the Mother's Day half marathon run by Sue Monahan or something like that?
Yeah,
I think something along those lines would be.
Yep.
Would be fine, and if
Yeah.
you don't have to have the sign to show us, right, but just I don't know, a PDF of what you plan to put in, and that would be.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Then is it possible if I write to Jessica and get the contact information for the highway department person?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
and you put her on the agenda for the April 30th, you already did it.
We got
Because
this.
that's you. All right,
Yeah, Chelsea, just let me know if you need anything else. I'll be here via email for you.
Fantastic.
all right.
All right.
Anything
Thanks so much for all your help, everybody. And
Okay.
thanks for keeping it on the down low.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Special town meeting.
Yeah,
Let's look at this warrant. We need to review, discuss, and vote on the article recommendations, and then with our approval, review, close, and sign.
um. I'm ready to move the slate.
What are we on
I
five?
would move that we recommend favorable action on all three of the articles. One is the old bill. One is a CPA library roof project. One is a CPA Tri-Town Beach. Those are both things that are very timely, that having them done early and not an annual town meeting is gonna mean those things happen in this construction season. And I think those are both important to get done ahead of time. So I think that requesting that those be on the April special town meeting is,
So that's a motion.
that's a motion.
All right.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So the review, close, and sign the special town meeting warrant.
We just need to do one of these, or?
How
Can I
do
sign
we
it?
close it?
He didn't put,
Oh,
No,
We
it's gonna
now
be
need
this
to close.
yeah,
That was,
I move that the board.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
there we go.
Next page.
I
We're
move
just
that the
reading a
board
script
vote
here.
to close the spring 2025 special town meeting warrant. Thank you for giving us a script, Pete. And direct the town administrator to finalize the warrant with town council and the town clerk constable to post the finalized warrant.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and do you have a final copy that we
I
can
have
sign
that.
after the meeting?
Yes, I have all of that.
Okay.
Oh, you want it now or at
Oh,
the
yeah.
end?
Oh, sure,
Oh.
pass it around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Take one down and pass it around, right?
There will be more.
You want to sit back? Next item, hybrid meetings, to review, discuss, and vote on hybrid meeting format for public meetings. The Governor Maura Healy signed into law H 62 as amended by S 2506. Extending until June 2027, the authority for meetings of multiple member bodies to be held in an entirely remote or hybrid format. The act also extends two important provisions. One, allowing a reduction in the quorum for an open or representative town meeting. And two, authorization for representative town meetings to be held remotely. This was established during COVID and proved to be such a good idea that we want to continue it.
Right.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, the two last things don't apply to us because we don't have
Yeah,
representative town meeting.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been our practice since then, our policy to have, every meeting should have a remote access option. And not everyone has been on board with that, but people have been shipping along, and I think now, I don't know, there's probably some exceptions, but people are supposed to, even the water commissioners are supposed to have a remote
Yeah.
option.
Yeah,
And-
and they
and
do,
they do.
because I've been in. one
That you've
where
been in
a
one,
member
okay.
joined remotely.
And I don't know how many times people stop me and say, oh my gosh, thank you for having that. Because like I couldn't, if I had to get a sitter on top of like all these other things,
Right,
just to come be here for the 5 minutes that my agenda item is on. If people really appreciate the better access that they have, so. I think we should continue, basically, our practice is, like they put some options here. You can require all meetings to be in person, you can allow in-person, remote and hybrid. Or you can require virtual option for all meetings. I think that's what we've been doing, and I think we should continue to require a virtual option for all meetings. The Zoom has been working fine. It's no worse than any other and probably better than most remote options that we have. So,
All that to say,
yeah, all I'd say is I'm ready to make the motion, but,
Yeah, that's what I say. Right.
all right, well, I move the board continue to require a virtual option for all meetings. All town public meetings. The exception would be town meeting, which we're not allowed to make remote. And provide virtual access.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Next, personnel.
Yeah.
To review, discuss, and vote on the appointment of a traffic control officer. Chief Savini has requested 2 people to be appointed as traffic control officers, and a letter of recommendation is included in the packet materials.
Yeah.
There.
This is the retirement plan.
Seems to be that way, yes. That's where
Oh,
retired
yeah.
officers go.
We get to see Keith Bardwell,
Maybe, yeah.
maybe,
Okay.
and Ray Vandalowski.
Yeah, Ray, both were, Keith was a police officer for years on the Whately Police Department. Ray Vandalowski a couple years ago retired. He's in retirement mode now. So his last job was with Whately, so both kind of retired from Whately, so Keith's completely retired.
Yeah.
And they're both just looking for something
Something to do, get out of the
part-time,
house.
get out of the house, yeah, and we could use the help because there's some bigger projects coming up. And with the staff that we have, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say there's a lot of people that are banging on the doors to do details, so we have to. Yeah, get people from other town and the sheriff's department, well, the more people we can have on our traffic control is. The easier it makes for us.
Are they eligible to do details in other towns as well, or just here?
So they can do bordering towns. But we're not gonna, we don't go policy wise, we don't go further than bordering towns, so
Okay.
Williamsburg, Deerfield, Sunderland, Hatfield. But we wouldn't be sending them to Hadley or Amherst,
Okay.
so they would stay nearby. So that
Okay,
would give us four people total. We currently have two. And again, just to point out for anybody that might be listening, this is not a position for the police department. That's a budgeted position. This is just for traffic control. That bill gets paid by the vendor who requests the officer or the traffic control officer to be there. So this does not come out of the town budget, or the town's pocket.
Yeah, and when you're
Thanks.
town
Clarifying that.
detail, when you're a traffic control officer, are you using that? The 4th police vehicle there generally, or are you generally not? And it's really just traffic control and you're out there with,
It's generally just traffic control unless it's requested.
Oh, okay.
But one of our kind of general, it's not written in the policies, but one of our kind of standard operating procedures is if it's on 5 to 10, just because of the high traffic volume, that we tend to have the cruiser
have
out
the
there.
cruiser out there, the major.
But we don't charge it unless they request,
Yeah.
or unless we let them know ahead of time that.
And they're paying the cost for that as well.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
well, I move that the board appoint Raymond Vandalowski and Keith Bardwell as traffic control officers for the Whately Police Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, to review, discuss, and vote on the appointment of planning board ZBA administrative assistant again.
Third, I can't remember.
I thought it might be the fourth.
But yeah, it depends on how far back you go.
True.
Yeah,
Apparently Valerie Moore stood out as the top candidate.
okay. Well, I'm ready to move. Move that the board appoint Valerie Moore as the planning board ZBA administrative assistant before
Second,
she has a chance to change her mind.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
excellent. Valerie's not on Zoom, so I'll say congratulations.
And welcome. We're really looking forward to
Yeah,
having
we're
you.
looking forward to working with you.
I'm looking forward to not having to approve another one soon.
Excellent.
Let's see, to review, discuss and vote on revised solar panel installation for the office building. Based on our decision, the board's decision to move forward with a backup generator at the property rather than battery storage, staff has been working with consultants to revise the solar panel plan and maximize solar production. We've got a letter here outlining the plan and the additional panels and additional production that can now be achieved all within budget. Excellent.
Mhm.
Board is asked to agree to the revised plan such that staff and consultants will then finalize the review with outsource and move forward with purchasing and installing the panels.
No problem with it, is with no budget impact.
Seems good, yeah.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
And with the board approve the revised solar solar
PV plans.
PV plans and change order for the town office roof.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Select board liaison updates, go first, I had a meeting with Cindy at the library yesterday, based on, messages that the libraries locally have been getting, about the federal government freezing money to IMLS, the, something museum and library sciences organization, which may have some small or moderate impact on the work that our library does. They're having a meeting tonight to discuss the impacts and to decide how to go forward.
Okay.
The had a county EMS Board of Oversight meeting where we discussed the chief's plans or aims for the coming year. We did one revision, but are having another meeting tomorrow night to continue to discuss that and some other matters that came up.
I've got two things to report. The battery energy storage systems group was working on researching and trying to come up with two things, a zoning bylaw and a general bylaw for siting and licensing battery energy storage systems. And the way the process goes, and it might have some very small details wrong, but generally, a general bylaw goes to the select board. We look at it, we approve it, edit it, whatever. And then it goes to annual town meeting. Or in any town meeting, actually, it could be special town meeting, could be annual town meeting. To get something added to our general bylaw. The zoning bylaw goes to the planning board, they're wrestling with it now, they might even be wrestling with it. No, not tonight, I think, that bylaw is about what do you need to do when you're first citing it? And what are the things you have to provide, information and so on. So that will eventually come to us to see whether we want to recommend that on a town meeting warrant of some kind. I don't think it's gonna be ready for June annual town meeting. I could be wrong, but I don't think it will be ready.
At this point, it's probably unlikely.
It's because we have to have hearing and hear back from council.
Right.
And, but people feel strongly about this, that if we have a special town meeting in late June or in September or something, that we consider putting that bylaw change there because they feel strongly that we need some kind of protection from the general, we don't really have protection now at all. Okay, so the purpose of that zoning bylaw is to make sure the thing gets built right, gets sited properly. After that, there's not a lot of enforcement. So the general bylaw concentrates on what do you do after it's built? You have a license, licenses can have conditions. And it spells out things like, we want to hear from you annually, we want your annual report, we want to know some things, you should provide us with your emergency plan. So there's things like that in it. So I have a copy of that, which I did not get a chance to email to Pete. So my plan is I will email that to Pete, then he'll email that to you all.
Okay.
So that you have a chance to look at it. I'll send you the drafts of both, but the general bylaw is the one that we would have to look at. And it basically, it says all the select board will be in charge of licensing and whatever annual review needs to happen. So it's putting an extra thing on our plate per year. That's if we get a battery energy storage system. A large one, and like small ones are exempt and so on. Like the ones you might put in your own garage, under a certain number of kilowatt hours. It's not gonna be exempt. This is for like big ones that might be associated with the solar farm or may or may not be associated with the solar farm. So that's coming, and I want to give you a warning and let people know that's progressing, but probably not in time for annual town meeting. And the other thing is South County Senior Center, we just had a Board of Oversight meeting. The other thing I'm gonna be send to you is a draft of how we would like to revise our intermunicipal agreement. And, a short summary would be, we want to change the Board of Oversight such that, it will have 6 members instead of the current, 3. That each town would send someone from their council on aging as a representative, and they can also have an alternate, right? And then the Board of Selectmen sends someone, normally that would be a selectman, but we also were considering putting in or the select board's representative. So you could pick, I don't know, a former selectman, or you could pick somebody else who you think would represent the select board's interest on the Board of Oversight. So that's the main change. We are also looking at in the future to change to a district. Kind of like this, like for example, Deerfield's fire district. And their district, they're like whatever they send to taxpayers goes on a separate line from your property taxes. It's a different fee. And we're looking into that. That's what Shelburne, Buckland, and Ashfield have done. And what it might help us do is it might help us way in the future if this ever happens. If we have to buy a property, then we have an entity that can own property and can raise taxes, so to speak. They would definitely have to be there's lots of approvals needed, and we don't know all the details of that, but that's way down the line. Oh, and there was one other thing that is in the intermunicipal agreement. The one change was the board of directors, and the other is to specify, now that we have data, to have the fraction of the cost paid by the 3 towns be determined by a 5-year average of some combination of senior population and senior center usage. So, because those are easy numbers to get, we can get the census numbers, and every 10 years we update those, but every year we can do a 5-year average of the usage because we now have those usage statistics. So it would be kind of modeled on how the Frontier budget is based on our enrollments with a 5-year running average, so it doesn't spike up and down.
And that addresses questions that were brought up during the previous
Exactly.
income.
And should help Whately because we could pay them 25% and our usage and
Right.
population numbers are well under that.
Although if you just look at population, it's actually pretty close. But the usage numbers fluctuate.
Right.
So I got all that data actually from the data for the last 5-ish years. And I was gonna actually plot what has been Whately's usage and so on, but I had the time to make those graphs. But you know, it's making graphs, so I'm gonna be excited to do that.
Yeah, the last numbers I saw
They were, well,
would show that they
right,
were under the 25%.
right, oh, yeah, definitely under 25%, but not by a huge amount if we look at population. So those are the things that I'm doing when I'm not here with you and the finance
Aw.
committee.
All right.
Okay, I think that's it.
I'm gonna go back for a second, if I may, to the library. I kind of went through that in a rather bloodless way. May or may
There's gonna be
not.
blood.
Yeah, may or may not have impact on the library. Specifically, the things that they're concerned about are whether it will affect funding for the CW Mars database. If you've ever gotten
Yes.
something from the library, our library is this big, and you can use CW Mars to find something that's at any other library within CW Mars. If we don't have that capability anymore,
Yeah,
we're gonna have a lot fewer books available to us. There's another database that I don't remember the name of, but it can get books from libraries that are not associated with CW Mars.
yeah,
So we're looking at some significant impacts to users
yeah,
of library services over the next year or two, if these funding freezes stay. If you don't like that, call your senators and representatives, write letters to the editor, etc. If the town administrator is not here, do we read his updates?
You are more than welcome to.
Alrighty then.
yeah.
And
Who doesn't want to feel?
That's,
Board of Assessors has completed their real estate abatement inspections. Good job. Center School RFP, the request for proposals to perform a feasibility study of the potential reuse of the center school closed Monday, March 31st, and very unfortunately, we received no proposals to perform this work. The center school committee will need to reconvene to determine how they would like to move forward. We look forward to hearing from them about what they're going to do. What was the timeline that they gave them?
usually if.
It was the end of this, I thought it was the end of this year, was that
It's
not?
at the end of this year. Okay,
In
so
October, maybe, was it
Yeah,
October?
so we're gonna.
Was
be
that-
interested
We
to
have to,
hear.
we have to at least re-look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody have to reconsider that.
The meeting with Congressman James McGovern. Congressman McGovern is holding a town hall meeting in Whately at the town hall on April 16th from 11 a.m. to noon. Residents are encouraged to come to the town hall on Chestnut Plain Road to share their thoughts, opinions, concerns, and questions about the fast-paced changes to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, Veteran Services, education, and other programs under review by the Trump administration and DOGE. If you would like to attend, please contact Tom Patria at the South County Senior Center at 665-9508. That's 665-9508. Coffee and snacks will be provided. Railroad corridor operational and vegetation management plan notice. We have received the annual notice of the post-emergent herbicide application program to start on or after May 1st and conclude on or about October 31st, along with the railroad corridor, or along the railroad corridor, I assume. This is an annual notice we receive related to their operational and vegetation management plans, and the Board of Health has also received this notice. I have one item not anticipated noted here. Are there any others before we move forward with this one? A staff member needs to go on medical leave for a couple of weeks, and unfortunately, the member has less than 2 hours of accruals to use and would end up going into unpaid status. We don't have an official sick bank policy. Amy Schrader has offered to transfer her sick time. She has 50 hours for this staff member to use. The staff member does not know about this offer. We don't pay out for unused sick time at the end of employment, so Amy's hours would be lost at the end of this week anyway, because she's leaving us. We can easily do this transfer within our system. So we just need the board to agree to allow the transfer of that earned time. Amy, that's really generous of you. Thank you very much. I move that we approve the transfer of Amy Schrader's sick time to unnamed member.
Yeah, can I just make one comment?
Yeah.
There would obviously be, some supporting documentation from this employee from, appropriate medical professionals saying that they're gonna be out for this amount of time. And that, Pete and I have discussed that the amount of time that, that's offered would be just to cover this specific medical procedure.
Yep.
And wouldn't be more or less hours, it would just be what is needed to cover this, so she doesn't.
So she doesn't need 50 hours.
It doesn't sound like it. Well, I think, the employee might need 44 hours.
Okay.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I moved ahead with the motion without asking if there are any
Yeah.
questions or clarifications.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that doesn't come up often enough that we, like, does this mean that from now on, whenever there's this kind of situation, we're gonna approve it? Maybe it needs to be something we put into the personnel policy, but we don't wanna wait for that.
Yeah.
On this particular one, and I think,
We also have a situation here where that employee with sick time, who is very unlikely to use it.
right, so I was gonna say, I mean,
It's gonna go
yes,
away.
yes, it's generous, but it's. In some ways, it's a liability, we would.
Judicious use of that sick time.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so I think, people who work for the town are really good workers, they work hard at their jobs, and we don't always pay them as much as we would like to, or that they might get in the private sector, so when we have a chance to help somebody out, especially when they need it, I think we should do it. That's just that's my part
Mhm.
speaking, so I would vote in favor of that. If that's moved the way it's written here, for that reason, but it might be that if this comes up. Again, in the, like, I don't know, in our memory, which means the next 25 minutes probably, right? But if that comes up, again, maybe we should consider having a sick bank.
Yep.
Policy, that might not be a bad idea.
Sounds like,
It sounds like it's a benefit that wouldn't cost us much,
right.
and that employees might appreciate that.
I would second if that was a motion.
Oh, okay, I move that the board approve the transfer of Amy Schrader's, do I say the names?
I don't know, we haven't been saying the employees.
The employees.
So
Okay.
Just leave that.
Amy Schrader's
Designated
sick time
employee.
to a designated employee for use during that employee's upcoming medical leave. The employee will utilize her accrued time during the medical leave first. Then the remaining medical leave time will be compensated using Ms. Schrader's available sick leave. Only the amount necessary to cover Ms. Steiner's leave will be transferred.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Before the motion to adjourn, I just wanna say I wasn't able to come to the party today. Amy, we're gonna miss you terribly.
Yeah.
And best of luck in your next job.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
then we'll have you back in a heartbeat. Just saying, it turns out there were.
We'll keep your name on file.
We'll keep your name on file.
Forever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for those of you who can't see it, the sign in the back of the room says, "Good luck finding better coworkers than us." Good luck. Thank you for everything. Amy.
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome.